See.
How are you doing, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate everyone took the time out the day to watch this video. If you're here, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. Today we'll talk about a few films that I think are really good, but are criminally underrated. They don't get talked about within our horror community. They don't get mentioned, and they're seldom referenced as being ones that are worth your time. I hesitate to say the word best or great or good because I'm not sure any of these films really fall into that categorization of being great necessarily, but I think they're all fun. I think they're all worth your time, and I think they're all underseen and underappreciated. They can all be really, really fun watches and really, really fun and enjoyable. Um, but all that said, we're gonna get started. We're not gonna overtalk it. Let's jump right into it. And the first one we'll talk about is Tomorrow. It's a early 2000s slasher, and if you're from, like myself, grew up during this period of horror film, so I'm talking Final Destination. I'm talking 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I'm talking um, Cherry Falls, Valentine's, all those films that were that early 2000 late 90s slashers. This is right in the line, and this is the same, I believe, writer, um possibly, and for sure the best, um the same producer, possibly the same writer as well as the first Final Destination film. So the aesthetic of it, the feel of it is very of its time. And it follows this girl, the titular character Tamara, and she is quiet, is reserved, and then she goes to like this place where this girl invites her, but then things go wrong. Um, she winds up kind of freaking out because she's scared and she doesn't really want to be there, and then she winds up dying. And of course, she comes back, um, and she goes from being really nerdy looking to transform into this, really hot and beautiful girl. And she just starts picking off the everyone that was there at that party one by one. Like I said, this is not something that you haven't seen at least 100 times before, but it's fun. It's of its time. So if and this is one often that I think people during my time may have overlooked. Um, so if you're looking for a movie from early 2000s that maybe you haven't seen yet, or that will bring back that feel, this is a great one to check out. Um, Now, if you aren't necessarily a fan of the aesthetic, of the style, of the way horror films were made during the early 2000s, I mean, this is not going to win you over. It doesn't do anything outside the box. It's not particularly, uh, I would say, different. So if that style or era of film, this isn't for you, maybe stay away from this. Because, like I said, this is not going to wow you or change your mind. But if you're like me, if the early 2000s always holds a special place in your heart, aesthetically and everything, it's worth a watch, it's worth seeing, and it's worth checking out. The next one. This is a micro budget film. I actually came across this film. I think it was Fangoria, and they mentioned it. And Um, it stars Danielle Harris, of course, the Scream Queen herself. And when I was around that age, Danielle Harris was, I had the biggest crush on her. So when I heard about this movie in Fangoria and they said she was in it and it was a slasher, micro budget, I said, oh, I gotta check it out. Also, it was Bill Moseley, although he didn't have nearly as big as a role. Like, it was a cameo, I think, if I remember correctly, where Daniel Harris is, one of the main characters. And the movie is Blood Night, The Legend of Mary Hatchet. Um, this is a very low budget film. It's a very by the book, by the numbers, generic like slasher, but it's fun. It's fun. I think Daniel Harris gives a really good um, performance in it, and although it is very low budget, although it is a generic slasher, um, I still think it's a whole lot of fun. It's really great. Um, it's worth your time and to see it. Like I said, people don't normally talk about it when it comes to, low budget kind of esoteric films that people don't normally talk about. This is one of those. Um, and what's awesome about it is a group of teens. It kind of has that urban legend like feel to it. Um, and it's about essentially a a woman that was sent to like an insane asylum, was assaulted, had a baby, and that baby turned into, you know, this something like that. Been a while since I've seen it. Been a while, but basically the baby came out for revenge, something like that. Listen, it's the plot isn't really the main thing. It's just a fun slasher, bunch of teens being killed. I mean, that's all you really need. So, like I said, Blood Knight, Legendary, Mary Hatchet. Check it out. It is fun. Um, I'm not gonna say pretend like the plot is intricate and complex. It's fairly simple. Like I said, it has a nice urban legend type feel to it. So, um, definitely worth seeing. Next movie is one that I think is fun. I think it's good. It's a good body horror slash creature feature. And that's Bite. Again, a movie that people don't normally talk about. Um, I like this movie, and this plot again very simple. Lady is out on her um, bachelorette uh, with her friends, bachelorette party with her friends, and while they're hanging out and enjoying, I forget it's somewhere some I think it's somewhere in South America. She's like in a river or whatever, and she gets bit. A little bug bite, no big deal. But she comes back, and slowly but surely she starts transforming, and at times it gets really gross. I don't recall the proper pronunciation, but the phobia of like small circular like type thing, like a tri triphobia, something like that. If you have it, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you have that, this is not the movie for you. This is gonna trigger you pretty badly. But it gets gross. It gets disgusting. Um, it gets really just not as disgusting as I thought. I remember I heard about this movie before I bought it. People talked about it, saying this is the grossest, most disgusting movie I've ever seen. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think the grossest part was when hit her fiance was cheating on her, and why he's in the process of, being with this woman, he just vomits on her, and that was gross. And that was like the grossest thing in like, or the thing with her and the bugs. I mean, it was. I guess it was gross. It didn't really bother me much, but nonetheless, I think it's a fun, like I said, body horror, creature feature type film. Um, I mean, if you like body horror, I can't see this really bothering you or being too much. So, right, worth seeing. This movie right here. Um, I think this is one of the most criminally underseen films, and one of the just just a movie that really needs to be seen. Um, because it's such a performance outside of the norm for this actor, and that's Maggie. And of course, the actor I'm talking about, I'll take those slip right there. And I'm not a typically action movie fan. I don't like action films. They just don't. I don't enjoy them. Simply put. So when it comes to Arnold, his movies just aren't ones I've revisited very often. He's not an actor that he's an actor I certainly respect and appreciate, but I'm just not a fan of his movies because most of his movies are action films. But this film is not, Arnold with a Uzi gunning down zombies. This is a quiet, slow, dread-induced film about a man who just learned that his daughter is dying, and the metaphor and the symbolism of that in the real world certainly was evident. It was handled very well, and you see him trying to do whatever he can to protect his daughter when she's faced with this horrible reality that she was out with some friends where she should not have been, and she wound up getting bit, and now she's slowly starting to turn, and we see people around them having to deal with similar stuff. We see um, other things occurring about people who are transitioning or have transitioned into zombies, and how that is affecting them, their family, and it's heartbreaking. And Arnold plays his role so incredibly well. The father that, he's big, strong guy, obviously, and yet all his muscle, all his strength, everything he has can't stop what's coming. This is not something he can punch his way out of, or fight his way out of, or use his strength to fix it. Like, this is something that is inevitable. The death of his daughter as she turns into a zombie. And the scenes between him um, and even like the local law enforcement, when they come and they're scared, of course. They're trying to contain this outbreak. And here's Arnold, like, you stay with my daughter. And some of those interactions become very tense, and you can really see his face as he's struggling. He loves his daughter so much, and he's trying to come to grips with the fact that she's slipping away. So this is a phenomenal film, and it's so different from other zombie films. It's not World War Z or Train to Busan or is if I could compare to anything, it's more like The Battery, where it's a zombie film, but it's also a very human film about things that we go through and how we handle it and how we take the good and the bad in life. And so this is definitely worth seeing. It is a phenomenal, well made, very sad, very depressing. I don't want to say depressing, but it definitely is a gut punch, especially if you have kids. So I recommend Maggie, 100%. Finally, last one I want to talk about for now. There's a little bit more fun. This is actually a kind of a fun film, creature feature, um, and this one is called uh, Succubus. And this was such a fun movie. Um, of course, it has what's his name? Ron Perlman. Don't know why I couldn't think of his name for a second. Any movie with him is of course that's always a plus. But this movie is about this guy. He is married, but him and his wife seem to possibly heading for a divorce. So um, he kind of goes on his dating app looking for someone, and he comes across this girl, very pretty. They start talking, kind of having a relationship. Not a relationship, but like this, like a back and forth, um, talking with each other, and weird things that start happening. Um, and he's struggling. You can tell throughout the film he has this dichotomy because he still obviously loves his wife very much, but at the same time he's kind of seeing that this may be heading in the wrong direction. We may not be together, very much longer. So, um, but just the way they talk and just how she's very ambiguous and doesn't give him much, but then she'll give him just enough to keep him, kind of hooked. And um, it really is. It's a really fun film. Actually, at the very end, it gets kind of darker than I expected. I didn't expect the end to be as dark as it was. To take on the dark turn that it ultimately did. So, kudos for that. But it's a really fun film. Like I said, it's not necessarily um, anything groundbreaking. I don't think any of these are particularly groundbreaking or great. Although Maggie may be the one I would say teeters on being great. I think that one's really good. But all these are just fun films. They're fun to put on. They're worth a watch. They're worth seeing. And this one is no different. It's just a fun, um, entertaining film, and just to see the way she manipulates him, and the way she kind of gets him to give in, and finally when he does go over there, just seeing him and this trying to navigate his way out, and it's just a really well done and the effects in here are amazing. The creature effects are actually really good. So I highly recommend all these movies. But like I said, none of them are gonna probably make anyone's top 10, even top 20. But they're all fun and worth a watch. And support physical media. Go out and buy them. Or buy one, buy two, buy all of them. But these are the ones underseen, underappreciated, and seldom talked about films that deserve some more recognition. I think that that they're good, they're fun, and they're just really. I think if anything, they another thing about all these movies is how different they are from each one of them. We got, Tamara and Blood Knight are both slashers, so okay, you can say that those two have similarity. But then you have Bite, which is a body horror creature feature, and Maggie, which is a slow dread induced zombie film, and you got Succubus, which is a you know almost erotic like um creature feature, or kind of like the ones they used to make back in the 70s, those erotica films. um that's what kind of reminded me of. But all of them are worth watching, all of them are fun, all of them are um have their own little charm to them. um like I said, Tamara is definitely a product of the early 2000s. Blood Knight is low budget, but it has this passion. You can feel the passion in it. You can feel the filmmakers had, and everyone else involved had so much fun on making that movie. And that's what really, I think, made it stand out, is like you can feel that energy when the cast and the crew is having fun, and the passion behind it. I mean, you can tell, and you know when they have a passion for what they're doing. It isn't something they're doing for a quick cash grab, or uh, something they're doing gratuitously. They're doing it because they, honest to God, have a passion and a love for the material. And I think it bleeds through with that one and all these movies, really. So, all right. Well, next time, until next time, guys. Thank you for watching.